And we're live. Welcome to Music Matters with Jason Tramm. We're delighted you can join us for a unique podcast community where we explore the issues and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. We love when you like and share our videos. It helps our community grow. We just hit our 1,300th subscriber, and we're growing, and we'd like to dig into different genres of music. We've got everything from classical opera stars to the best in indie rock to everything in between. So we're delighted that you can join us, and we have a wonderful guest. We have two guests tonight, twin brothers who form the indie rock band from Brooklyn, the Moon City Masters. I'll read a little bit about this group. The planet of Moon City sent their best band to bring harmonious, soulful rock and roll to the people of Earth. The Moon City Masters plays positive, feel-good rock music with catchy melodies, funky bass lines, and crunchy riffs. Every show is a good time. You'll want to dance, clap your hands. They've got some great music on all the platforms you can check out on Spotify and on YouTube. Make sure you follow them, and welcome to Jordan and Taylor of the Moon City Masters.
Thanks for having us, Jason. We're happy to be here.
You reminded me that we need to send an updated bio.
It's a good time to do that during COVID. Everyone's on the internet all the time, right?
It's a good time to practice and really and work on your presentation. You know, so when you're back when the world opens up again, which is luckily it's knock on wood, you know, you can come out swinging and do the best you can and be even better than you were before.
Yeah. So what's the state of things in Brooklyn these days? I mean, Brooklyn's got such a thriving indie scene and music scene. How's it been during COVID?
Well, I don't remember what that was like, the thriving part. But like Brooklyn for me right now, for me speaking, is like I live a mile away from Taylor, as he just said, and you know, for us, it's like, okay, we meet up, we have our mask on, we go running in the morning. And then I just walk to his place.
And then we write songs.
So I've been seeing a lot of Brooklyn.
we write songs. We do we do social media videos and posts to engage with our fans. And, you know, we'll do some live stream shows on one of our social media platforms. But, you know, New York, it's a lot like, you know, for all these, like all the musicians out there that see all these incredible musicians on social media, guitar players, it's like New York City's got, you know, we had, and when we first moved to Brooklyn, our next door neighbor, you know, was a great jazz drummer and would play at the restaurant next door to our apartment with this incredible guitar player who played with all these amazing jazz legends. And I'm blanking on names. And there's every great musician is in New York City. It's an incredible place to live. And, you know, I'm looking forward to being humbled again, playing a club and hearing the most amazing musicians and not even expecting it. You know, one time years ago when we played in an earlier band we were in, we went to play a show at Rockwood Music Hall, and the band before us was just this killing jazz fusion band. And the drummer, we look up the drummer later, and he was St. Vincent's drummer, and this is what he did when he was on the road.
Wow.
That's what's so incredible about New York or LA or Nashville, anywhere where there's a big thriving music scene, is you don't know who's on stage.
Plenty of musicians to say, "Hey, dude, check your ego."
You know, and
that's a great point.
If you're not so insecure, if you hear so many people that are so good, it just forces you to get better.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I love it.
It's like Instagram come to life.
So I have to ask, how do two brothers get to stardom? Did you guys always know you wanted to be musicians? Were you always making music growing up?
There was never really a talk. It was like, okay, we both saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers live.
Our first concert when we were 11.
Well, actually, I should start a little bit before that. Before we even saw that, we were completely obsessed with rock music. It was like listening to Jimi Hendrix was like, okay, there's this kind of wizardry going on, and it came from the sky.
Yeah.
And when we saw the Red Hot...
Also, our dad was a teenager and a young adult in the 60s and early 70s. He went to Woodstock. And he
wow.
Like, you know, he was in bands, and he would tell us about... So he would show us all these great, like, Jimi Hendrix and the Allman Brothers and Eric Clapton and Traffic. And
all these bands that just, like, they blew our minds. And to me, it was like, okay, superpowers are real. And when we saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers live, it was the first time that we're like, okay, we're seeing this right in front of us. This can actually be done by human beings, and we're going to give it a shot. And pretty soon I realized that bass was the instrument I want to play, because I didn't realize that Flea was the guy that I was like that. Because when you're a young guy, you don't know what a bass is. You're like, everything is a guitar, and he wanted to play guitar, and there was never like a conversation about it. It was instantly like, this is just what we do, and we've just been going ever since. More than half of our lives, you know.
And then when we were 14. We played CBGBs in our bus driver's band, and that's when our mom and dad were like, I think they're gonna do this no matter what. So we better get them
there.
So we better get them some lessons so they can really understand how music. So they have a shot at this, And because we were just all ear, and we start. Great thing about living in New York is that all these incredible music, and we studied with some of the best jazz musicians in the area. And I don't consider myself a jazz guitar player. I could play a cocktail hour of jazz standards.
Same,
but I can do it. I know my 2-5-1s, and but it's like, I can do it. But you study with all these great musicians, and it just gets into you. And so we studied with some great musicians from 15 and up, and before that, we went to a jam session at Berklee College of Music when we were 14 to go visit the school, and we jammed with some of the students and got completely wrecked. And my mom was like, "These kids, they're good, but they need to start learning the language of music." And she was like,
"Yeah, we got beat up in front of our mom."
Yeah, and
they always say if you want to play tennis, you got to play with people who are better than you. If you want to play music, you got to be around people that next level up, and you got to always be. I always like to be around people who are better than me. Like I'm 46 now, but I love to be around the old legends.
New York, it's not that hard to find people better than you.
Go walk a couple blocks to the bar, and you'll find someone that could kill it.
We're really lucky, rant, but that's how we got into music.
And we
were obsessed since we were kids, and we were really shy. And when we saw a concert,
it just became real to us.
It was like, okay, this is the thing that human beings can actually do. It wasn't just something that fell from the sky. It wasn't like
it felt more realistic, incredible too. But so yeah, once we saw a concert, we just got guitars and we just never looked back. And there wasn't really a discussion. Like I think people that do this for a living, like yourself and like us, you have to do it. Mm-hmm. I tell my guitar students, like my older ones that are thinking about going to music school, and I'll go, "Is there anything you like as much as this?" And I'll ask them that, and they go. If they say yes, I'm like, well, you should go do that, because if you like it as much, that's an easier way to make $1.
There are definitely ways you can make more money if that's your focus.
You do this because you have to.
Yeah, we just didn't.
You're obsessed.
We didn't have anything else that we felt like we could really do, and that we because of our skills, and two, because we love this more than anything. So let's just do. And we're gonna do this.
We're two dyslexic kids. This was it. This is it.
Yeah.
There was no looking back for us once we got it.
Yeah, it's amazing how I have a similar story. My mentor was I was doing my doctorate and I was finishing up, and I was working as a chorus master with an opera company. I just fell in love, and he was in his 70s and I was in my mid 20s, and he took me under his wing, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And he's like, if you could see yourself doing anything else, do that. And It's not until I got to be around 35 and he was long past that I said, he was such a sage, because I had to go through hell to stay in this business, and and this is all I've ever done is professional music making. And but you know what? It's if you there's nothing like making a life in music. It's so rewarding. Even the downs are in the long run are going to be fine.
There's nothing like it. But you truly the rejection, the turmoil, the having to live with your parents a little longer than most people, like that. But you know what? It doesn't feel like sacrifice, because when you're just playing, when you're in your moment, and it's just so damn good.
Yeah.
There's just nothing. I'm getting choked up talking about it. There's just nothing like it.
It's like, this makes life. This is our lives. This is what we love. It's I don't even know how else to put it. I don't think there's anything I could really add.
Yeah, it's our favorite thing in the world. Even during this COVID thing where we can't perform live, it's just, it's still my favorite thing in the world. It's just,
we still call each other up like every day. Hey, yo, have you heard this thing? Have you checked out this guitar player? Have you checked out? it's our hobby, it's our passion, it's our career.
Even when you're an educator, you're a professional, you're a student of this game for the rest of your life. And it's like a video game you can never fully win in the best way possible.
I love it. Great analogy. That's a good point. And so when did you form your first band? When did you start writing songs together? Have your voices always harmonized so well together? You guys sing great in harmony. Like, has that always been easy for you? Has that something you learned along the way?
Okay. Our first band,
We were 15. I guess
we've been in every band together. The idea for us, like, we never were like setting out as individuals doing this. This never was like, I'm gonna, like, you know, I never had so much, I'm gonna be the best bassist and singer
I never wanted to be the best guitar player in the world. I wanted to be in the best band in the world with my brother.
It was always like, we're gonna be a band. And so we've had so many bands that were just basically us with like one or two other guys, that starting at the age of like 12? 11?
12, we were always in bands together, and you know, and it just
even though the other guys maybe
were great, we played with some great musicians in other bands, and
you know,
but it's like, you know, it just got to a point like after we were like 20, like after college, we were in our last band, and after it broke up, and we're just like, that's it. It's time for us to just, we're the ones that are always, we're brothers.
We're always on the same page. And we were listening actually to a Kiss interview where
we're not even giant Kiss fans, but they're cool. They got some great songs.
I like Kiss actually quite.
I like them, but they're not my top 20.
They're not like top, they're not, but you know, but Paul Stanley said the thing that Kiss had when they made it was everyone was on the same page. And we said to ourselves, we're always on the same page.
We're the band.
Let's just be let's not do this with anyone else anymore. Let's just do this as us, because we lived at the time. Even now, we live a mile apart from each other, but we've always lived together.
And we see each other every day.
We see each other every day. We work on this every day. We're in this together, so it's like we decided that we're just going to be the band at this point. So we've been doing this together. The Moon City Masters has really been the last two
and a half, 3 years.
But we've been in bands together, writing songs together
since day one, since we were 11 or 12.
Like half our lives, you know.
Yeah, we got guitar. Like we both got guitars. 3 months later, Jordan got a bass. I'm like, check out this riff I wrote. Let's write a song.
It was when I came home.
They weren't good.
When I came
got to start somewhere.
When I came home with my first bass, it was like, okay, you have a bass. Okay, so you got this riff I wrote. Write a bass part. It wasn't, that is in my garage, in our garage. It was literally that. It was never like, okay, get to know the instrument better, and then we'll work on it. It was like, no, write a bass part right now. You have a bass? Okay, you should be a pro right now, you know?
You know who was like that? I think Sting was saying when he first started playing, he wasn't a great bass player. He kind of adapted into that during his years on the road. He kind of, if you listen to their early stuff, it's pretty easy on the bass, and he kind of adapted. And of course, he's been changing his style ever since. And you watch these people evolve.
Wrong. Easy.
You know what I say?
Easy is good. If it's hitting with the drummer and it sounds good, easy doesn't matter.
I'll say this, like, you know, my brother and I, we play all this, like, some of our stuff, we play all this busy stuff, so the drums have to be really simple to support it. You know, Stuart Copeland, I love his drumming. He's a very busy drummer, so someone has to lay it down and play really simple to make it work. It's like The Who. John Entwistle and Keith Moon are all over the place, so Pete Townsend has to be that support. Yeah. Someone needs to be sane when the other guys are crazy to make it sound so good.
I think Sting kills it.
I love Sting.
I love me some Police.
You know, I love all the music of the past.
This is hard.
It's always fascinating to me. Like, you know, you guys are trained musicians. You've studied jazz. You've studied all sorts of rock and roll, and I love that kind of cross pollination. And I hear that in your music. I hear the funk. I hear all the kind of, you know, some interesting transitions. I kind of hear that training. Where did you guys do your studies? Where did you study music?
You know, we didn't major in school. We got into Berkeley, and we couldn't afford it. You know, it's the height of the Great Recession. We got partial scholarship, and we stayed independent. So, you know, we studied voice lessons with for a year with a great voice teacher named Don Lawrence, and he worked with like Lady Gaga and like Snyder, because we were working with an incredible producer. We were writing songs with an incredible producer, which was our big education, with a guy named Bob Held, who's worked with like Joe Bonamassa. He's written for Alice Cooper. He's written a song for Deep Purple. He was a great friend of ours, and after college, after high school, with all these great jazz guitar teachers that we had and bass teachers we had, that was kind of our education, voice lessons. And then we worked
with Bobby,
who was a professional songwriter, and his wife is an A&R person for Sony, so she would tell us straight up if something was bad or good.
And as for getting better at our instruments, is all through our high school years we were taking with really great jazz musicians, and then at that point, it was just like practice.
So it was also during my early 20s, I developed an autoimmune disease. I called it Graves' disease. So I was just like, I just didn't have the headspace to think about auditioning for colleges. But we stayed studious. We played in bands. We did a lot of gigging. We worked with Bob and we worked with Don. And you can learn it the easy way or the hard way. And we went the hard way. You
learn by being on the road. You learn by every time you're on that stage, you apply it in a different way. And so what was it like? Take us through your first sets. What was it like hitting the stage together in your own bands, learning the stage, and also going to the studio? What was it like learning how to be a studio artist, like to record your songs? I always find that fascinating with artists.
Being in the studio. Do you want to go ahead? You could talk first.
Okay, the first time I ever played in the studio, I could play all these Victor Wooten licks.
Like these technical licks.
Like, I don't know if you know Victor Wooten. Like, I could play all these like Victor Wooten licks. And I remember we had a friend that
his name was Elliot Denenberg. His dad was named Peter Denenberg. He produced like the Spin Doctors. And he owned a studio in America. We're from America, New York. When we were in high school, Elliot was our best friend. We would just be at his house and we record and be in a band together. He's like,
We've had a pretty lucky life when I think about all the people that we just happen to know.
It's like, he's now Elliot Moss, and he's a great songwriter.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
And we don't keep in touch anymore, but he's gone on to do incredible things. But it's like, it was such an educational thing because Elliot grew up in studios and his dad was a studio guy. And it's like, you guys can't play to a click.
Yeah, I remember one time we were 16 and we were 16 years old, and he's playing me saying, "I want you to hear something." And he's younger than us.
He's 2 years younger.
But he was like an old pro.
He's an old soul.
He was like an old pro in a 15-year-old kid's body. And he's like, "I want you to listen to this." And he's like, "Okay, listen. When you're playing normal bass, your time sucks.
But when you play the technical part,
but when you play the shred parts, it's the only time you're in time." And I was like, oh fuck, man, I'm a dick.
It's like,
I suck.
And so we have so much.
Suck.
So that was our first experience in a studio. We were those quintessential kids that could focused on the technical things and didn't work on the basics. And that was a great education
lesson for us. And I'm really thankful to him.
And we did some shows, and we played a festival with them, and like backing up other artists Peter recorded, and it was just like. It was
a nice, good ass kicking that we needed.
And looking back, it's like
we all need that. That's how you learn, right? That's how we all learn.
So that was it now, and so that was it. So once we got to our 20s and like mid 20s, we were ready to go in the studio. I'm not going to tell you I'm always a first take guy, but like. You learn.
You learn. We got kind of chewed up pretty hard, like pretty young.
I think with us, it's always learn the hard way. We learn by sucking in front of people.
It's the only way to learn. Get out there, sink or swim.
I learn from my trauma.
So now with this new band, this is only 2 years old. This new iteration, the Music City Masters. Who else do you play with? Obviously you two. Who's the drummer?
We have a couple guys that we love. Two guys that our drummer Andrea Belfiore, he's from Italy, and he does all the we have two. Our producer Justin plays drums in all our studio stuff.
And he's actually an amazing guitar player.
He was the guitar player and musical director for a Broadway musical called Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh sure.
Yeah. And Taylor's future brother-in-law.
He's my future brother-in-law, but he produces us, and he plays drums on all our stuff. But live and keyboards but live we have a drummer named Andrea Belfiore. He's incredible. He went to Berkeley. He's from Italy. He's amazing. And then we have another drummer that we were playing a lot with before the pandemic named Dylan Fusillo. He's another great guy. He's played on Broadway musical. He's toured a lot. So we're lucky. We got really great pros that just love the music and want to be involved. I think when we're getting back on stage, we're talking about doing some touring in the summer and definitely in early 2022. We're going to use Andrea, because Andrea, another thing that's important about touring, and I love Dylan too, it's like getting a guy that obviously can play well, but a guy that you can spend a lot of downtime.
Yeah,
good point.
Andrea's such a good drummer, but he also is just like such a cool guy, and that's a big
And
thing.
Dylan's a cool guy too, but Dylan's a little bit older, and I don't know if he's down to tour, but if he's down to, we're really lucky to play with some incredible musicians.
Dylan's great.
Too.
They're both just amazing drummers who I love both of their styles, and they're a little
with your guys' energy and love of what you do. Another great musician will pick right at that, but it's all personality, and and you can just tell you guys are so excited about what you do.
They're both amazing drummers, and they're both a little older than us. And I really feel like when I've played with Dylan and Andrea that I learn a lot from them.
I think it's like talking to you about like our development. It's like the moral of the story is like it's like what you said. Always play with people that are a little bit ahead of you, because it just makes you better. It makes you better, and we get to play with some awesome guys. And I think we're actually, I think this week we're getting together with Andrea for the first time in over a year to play.
That's crazy.
To start rehearsing again. And it's like, because we both got our second shots of the vaccine, and he's got his first, and it's looking like we have a lot of shows coming up this summer, so we gotta get in shape again. We gotta get.
Everybody does. I've had superstars of the Metropolitan Opera saying we haven't been on the stage in a year. How the hell are we gonna get back there and start singing Verdi again? We all gotta get our sea legs back again.
Oh man, I'm so excited to play in front of people. We do a lot of live stream, especially on our TikTok page. We'll live stream on our TikTok, and we'll get 500-600 people watching us on that, which is great. I'm so grateful that anyone's watching us. But I'd rather play in a room full of 40 people than on a screen with 500 people watching. There's nothing like it.
Because it's that connection. It's that emotional connection. You're feeding off the energy that they're giving back to you.
When are you performing again?
I've got contracts for the summer, just like you said. Yeah, I've got I do a festival down at the Jersey Shore. I think that's happening as far as I know. As of right now, that's happening. I've got an orchestra concert in August. I think that's happening, and
Great.
something. Yeah, they're starting to come back. It's all of our careers. It's all of our kind of music's going to come and start blossoming at once. We're all kind of saying we need to be back on the stage again. We need to be in rooms again. We need to find ways to make this work.
I'm so glad to hear that you've got gigs booked already too, man.
It's all the same,
I imagine if you're like us, it doesn't matter what kind of music you're doing. There was a real tough time in this pandemic. I remember early in this pandemic, a few months in, I would watch some live videos of us. I get really sad, man, because
a lot of depression.
I don't. It's not about
the money.
It's not about the money, and it's not about the adoration. It's not about like, oh my God, people are watching me and they think I'm awesome. It's not about that. There's just this connective experience that you feel with this guy who's Andrea or Dylan, whoever is drumming with us, and then the audience. And it's like, I missed it. I miss it so bad, man. And
I've interviewed like 130 people, and everyone's been through a different path with this. It's like some people have like done very little music making, and they've been like studying languages or reading books and kind of focusing. Some have been writing music like crazy in the studio, putting studio tracks together with people from other countries, and everyone's found a different way to kind of cope with this. And I'm glad to hear you guys are doing the live videos,
I've been doing all of the above. Actually, we've been writing a lot of music together.
We've been recording a lot.
We
look, it's straight up this year. We've built a bigger fan base this year than we were from when we were gigging all the time. That doesn't mean we don't like that better.
Well, hopefully they'll come see you when you're back on the stage again. We want them in the concert hall.
I do actually kind of, now that you mention it, do you know the app Duolingo?
Sure, of course.
I was trying to teach myself Spanish, and I kind of fell off because we got so busy. But I was actually trying to teach myself Spanish.
It was a good time to learn without the traveling, and a good time to learn a lot of new things.
Yeah, it's so exciting, you know. Look, I take COVID seriously. I did the social distancing and I wear my mask always. And when I'm
Same.
and I even though I'm fully vaccinated, I'm wearing my mask. But you know, if we have to do this another year, I'm moving west, so at least I could do because they'll start doing stuff outside quicker, and I'll do that, you know. Because if we're outside, there's like no way. It's much less likely. You know,
I think this is a great summer for summer festivals. I think, like, outdoor summer festivals, there's nothing better. There's no proof that there's been transmission of COVID outdoors. So, and outdoor festivals are wonderful for rock concerts. I mean, I live right next to Asbury Park in the summer where I'm a music director, and I can literally walk from my house over to the summer stage and catch, 4,000 or 5,000 people watching a rock show. Last year there was nothing, of course. But this summer I'm hoping they can do some distance shows and we can go see some rock and roll again.
That makes me happy just to hear that idea. When you said 4,000 or 5,000 people watching a rock show, I just like lit up. It's like the idea of it is so good, man.
We just started working with a great booking agency called TKO. They work with a lot of great big bands, and they reached out to us a few weeks ago, and they're pitching us to festivals and tours, and you know. If they book us, we will play. That's how we look at it. Yeah. It's time to do what we all are meant to do, is go play some freaking music.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite up till now? What have been some of your top some of your favorite performances? I know you guys have done performances all over. What are some of the top ones you can remember off the top of your what makes it special?
For me, I really loved was it a year ago or more? It was more than a year ago at this point, because a year ago we were still in lockdown. I loved playing Music Fest in Pennsylvania, because I find a lot of times, like, even though I love playing New York, when you get to these small towns, they really know deep cut rock. So when we played an acoustic set at Music Fest and
for the Martin guitar booth,
and then an electric set, and people were straight up yelling some requests to us, like Humble Pie. I don't know if you know Humble Pie.
Now the song, sure.
Like the Steve Marriott, like 30 Days and all. They were wanting us to play that, and I'm like, so it's really amazing to hear, like, in these small towns, they really have an appreciation for deep cut rock.
Well, a great mentor in our lives, like a few years ago, we taught at a music camp in Greece called Corfu Rock School, and we were assisting a guitar player, Ron Thaw, who was the guitar player of Guns N' Roses, and he told us these small towns, middle America and other places, they really appreciate shows because they don't have as much going on as these major cities. So when you go to the small towns, those are the best shows because there's not 100 things to do in a night, so they all come out and they're just so freaking rabid. So those are the best shows.
We love New York City, but small town America is the best.
But for New York, like, I think my favorite shows were at Rockwood Music Hall. We played the small stage one, the free admission place, and we would fill the place with like 60 people, and just, I don't care if you play a full room, no matter how many it could hold, it is unlike,
it's a great feeling.
Anything. It is the best feeling ever. We've played bigger stages than that. We've played for more people than that. But when you're playing a packed audience, no matter what that capacity is, that's the greatest thing ever. It's the great. It's better. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And the same for me in a classical situation. I've conducted for 4,000. I've conducted for 100. And it's like sometimes the 100 are real connoisseurs who know the music cold, and you're very nervous in New York City or something like that. And sometimes the larger, it just never, it's the energy, it's feeling the energy and feeling the audience give back. Like, you're giving them a gift and they take it and they just radiates back. There's nothing like that.
4,000 people, man. What's that feeling like?
Well, I'm the music director at a venue of 6,500 down at the Jersey Shore called the Great Auditorium, and if they see that place with a lot of people in it, it's just roars. It's like mostly classical things, of course, but it's just exciting. It's visceral.
Yeah, wow. Look, that's awesome, man. I'm happy.
And when I hear the guitar player from Guns N' Roses, of course, my generation, I think Slash, but I saw them. I saw Guns N' Roses at Giant Stadium not too long ago.
It was during that Chinese democracy era.
I like that album. I actually like that album. My kids didn't.
Bumblefoot has been a great. He was a mentor. We were actually going to tour with him, but things happened, and he's been a great guy to us, and he's
been a great mentor and somebody that we can really learn a lot from. He really is just an amazing guy and the greatest musician.
Well, I actually think he's probably the greatest guitar. He's probably the greatest guitar player I ever met. So, because when you're in a room with him, you don't know how good that guy is until when you're doing clinics with him every day, being his assistant, and he could just do anything from Charlie Christian solos to shredding solos to blues.
Yeah, if you were like, well, I like classical, he'd be like, well, I don't know. Well, here's this classical thing I learned like 30 years ago, and he'll play it perfect, and he'll play it like so. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but when he plays guitar, his main guitar in the last 10 years, 15 years, it has been like he has this double neck guitar. So the top bar is a fretless guitar, and the bottom is, and he'll be like, and if you were to be like, well, I love classical music, and he'd probably be like, well, I listened to this for like 13 million years ago, and he'll play like one hand on the fretless guitar he'll probably do it falling asleep.
We've accompanied some amazing musicians, but
he's just the greatest guy too. Like, and in addition to being like an amazing musician, he's just a kind person that wants to give everything he's got to people that really want.
We send him music. We send him our new songs all the time. He's always really encouraging, it was a great. But that to me was like a great two things he told. Like that was a great things like play the small towns. The small towns really appreciate it. When you're in New York, they're spoiled. They have everything under the sun.
The Rolling Stones could be coming through, and then
and then you have anything, music and beyond. We have unlimited entertainment here, which is incredible. That's why I live here. But it's also like when you go to those small towns, even just 2 hours away, they're going to appreciate it a lot more.
It's true.
Well, I definitely want to see you guys live. That'd be very exciting. I'll take my boys. We'll go and check you guys out.
Oh, dude, come. Well, beer's on us, man.
Absolutely. So tell me what it's like being an indie artist today. I love to talk about this with the artists. Back in the old days, the record companies would create these plastic images of what they wanted the artist to be. I think today, your audiences who gravitate towards indie artists want to know who people are, and they want a genuine musical experience. What do you guys think about that?
I think besides the financial aspect of music, like the royalty aspect, I think it's a better time to be an artist. People don't want to hear that but look, you're right. People want to see who you are. I think this whole celebrity, being larger than life thing, I think that's kind of over. People want you to be a person, and they want to get to know who you are. Like I see it a lot with my fiance Maris. She's a pretty decent sized influencer on Instagram and TikTok, and some of her fans will follow. They'll follow my personal account, which has nothing but me noodling and on guitar and pictures of us, and there's nothing interesting on there. But they'll follow me because they want to get to know her more, and and vice versa. I think people just want you to be a real person these days, and
I think the idea that the celebrity is larger than life.
This is my office. I give lessons and we write songs in and do little demos in. It's nothing fancy. People want to see that nowadays. They don't want you to. It's not the MTV Cribs thing, and I think it's social media. I like it because personally, I think that the idea of celebrity culture is a toxic, horrible thing. I think that you shouldn't forget that the people that you listen to are people too. And and I just think, and besides that, as an artist, it's like, we're not signed to a record company. I'm not saying we'll never be signed to a record company, but that's not necessarily the goal either. If it's the right record contract that we get to retain our somewhat autonomy, our freedom, our autonomy. They're not gonna completely gut us. Like they're like, hey, you guys are successful. Go change this producer. Go change this.
Yeah,
thing.
I've heard horror stories. I watch. I'm fascinated by this kind of interaction between artists and producers and record companies. Sometimes it could ruin a band. Some bands get shelved.
We're not just us. We're really lucky.
Have a team behind us. Our manager Jason.
Our manager Jason is insanely instrumental to the success that we've had so far. our producer Justin, his brother-in-law, my Justin-in-law, and it's like, he's a co-writer, a producer, totally instrumental to who we are. His fiance, my sister, at this point, I consider her my sister,
does a lot of our images,
is basically responsible for the image that we put up. We have a team, and if anyone ever tried to break up that team, I'm not interested. It
does take a whole team to make music work.
I was watching the Bowie documentary about Mick Ronson, and what I took away from that the most is that Bowie had a team of people helping him dress the way he did, arrange his music the way he did, and he was a genius. Bowie absolutely was a genius. But everybody that makes it needs a team. It's a team effort. And
no one's doing everything by themselves.
And we're really lucky that we have a team that they're our family.
But yeah, as the independent artist thing, I love this time period. Yeah, if you can get past, you're not going to sell 6 million albums and be a multimillionaire, but you have a creative freedom because you can put your music online, and if you learn about your marketing strategy, you can build your own fan base and do it on your terms, and that's an incredible thing. It's harder, but it's so much more rewarding.
I agree.
Then in the end, as you build your team and your marketing and your audience base, you're not beholden to an outside entity too. That's interesting. Yeah. And I don't think there's ever been a time when you've had so many platforms you can put your information on, YouTube and Spotify and all these platforms to disseminate your music. It has worldwide reach.
Yeah, it's funny because we're so influenced by the classic rock and the old soul music and jazz music, but we're influenced by so much older music. But I love being a band of 2021.
Yeah, me too.
I think
some people talk about they wish they could live in this era or this era. I love the era that we're in. There's so many amazing musicians out today, and I think it's a good time.
I wonder what would it be like if some of our legendary rock artists that we like Jimi Hendrix had social media. I think it would have taken a lot of the mystery out of that, man. That's part of the mystery is or when Robert Plant would fly into town with Led Zeppelin, we didn't know what he had for supper. We didn't know you didn't. God descending from the clouds.
I honestly never thought about that. It's an interesting thing.
I'll tell you this. A lot more of those artists would do a lot less drugs and drink a lot less because I'll tell you this because this if you're we like to have some drinks, we like to have fun, we're like anyone else, but if you're drunk and high on stage and you suck live, it shows up on YouTube. Think how many
immediately, yeah.
bad gigs. They had just as many bad gigs as they had good gigs because they were fucked up. And it's you go and it goes on. If you suck one time, it could go on YouTube. It could be they suck live. Don't buy tickets to see them. Don't do it. And it's so people have to be so on it now that never before because they can't cover it up. It's gonna go.
It's true. It's
amazing. Yeah, I mean, every concert I've ever seen, there's someone there doing this. It's man.
If you crack live, everyone can hear it.
I don't fear it. Take videos, put it online, get us out there. It's all good publicity. But if I was gonna sing tonight, I probably wouldn't be having a couple.
Or you wait till after the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever we're on tour, we're not gonna probably even touch these because we want to be really on it,
because people pay a lot of money. Music going to concerts costs a lot of money, and
people are gonna film it and they're gonna put it on, and people before they decide to come see us live might be like, well, how do they sound?
So what's it like having music that you've written and put out there on social media and you put out there on Spotify, and it's you're getting a lot of attention. I looked at your Spotify and you've got a good amount of subscriber base. You must be touching people all over the world. What's it like having someone write to you that your music has moved them?
Every day that we get that is the coolest thing ever.
It's the greatest thing ever, and I am so moved by it. And it means the absolute world to me. I don't even know if there's words to describe it because there's so many people. I remember when I was 14 years old, I don't even think it was his real account, but I wrote an essay on a comment to a Rob Halford from Judas. fan account about how much his music meant to me, and people were commenting like, "Oh, that's sweet." I don't even know if I don't even think it was his real account, because back in the day,
I did not know this.
I never told you that.
No.
And
That's where podcasts are amazing. You learn all sorts of things from these long form podcasts.
some guy, I think he was from Russia, he just sent his kid like rocking out, his toddler rocking out to our song, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it really means a lot to me. It really, like, I don't even know if I can put it into words, but it almost makes me choke up. I'm so happy, because, you know, the truth is all of our songs are completely written from life experience. They're completely written from, this is what I'm going through at this time, this is how I feel at this time. And the fact that people really relate to that, it's more than I could ever ask for. It's priceless. It's amazing.
It seems like every day we get at least one message from a fan, or just someone putting our song in a video. It never gets old, you know. We're musicians. We love attention. We love it. You know, we all do. But it's like it's just it's incredible. And you know, every day when I see our followers go up on Spotify, or more people are listening to it, and you know, I don't know, it's just incredible. It's incredible that it's in the scheme of things, it's not a ton of people, but the fact that fact that 700 people in a day listen to our music, that's humbling. That's very humbling. That's
like, it's like, you know, these are people just like us, and they're resonating off of what we're doing. I don't even know if I have words for that. It makes me emotional to even think about it.
Where would we all be right now during COVID if we didn't have music and Netflix and great music to listen to, and, you know, artists like yourself pouring their hearts out? Where would we be? I think we desperately need that during this time.
We need it. Yeah, you're right. And look, we only, you know, before we got on with you, we were just hanging out, having dinner, and listening to bands we love, and listening to artists, and we all need it. We all need those things to get us through the day. Music it's incredible, man. It's incredible, man. We have friends that do acting and filmmaking and everything, and music is just one of those things that it's for everyone.
Yeah,
it's really true. It's really the true art form that's really for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets something.
You don't need to be like an aficionado to feel something from it. You don't need to study this. How does it make you feel? You know, that's all it is.
I don't think there's an art form as universal as music. I really don't think so.
You know,
every culture ever is listed. Every culture that ever has existed on Earth, we've found musical evidence. So I mean, it's always been a part of the human DNA, and it's just part of who we are. It's in our DNA, I believe.
Yeah, it's incredible, and you know, I'm just thankful that there's people listening to us, and hopefully we keep growing it, and hopefully we keep giving them better and better music.
I have a feeling that you're going to see those numbers build and build and build, because the first I heard one of your songs, I'm like, these guys are fantastic. And then I put it on I put it on for some different age people, my oldest son, my youngest son, and they're like, damn, these guys can sing and play the guitar. The music's fantastic. It's exciting, and we really loved it.
Because you mentioned these guys could sing. For any guys out there listening that you're trying to become a singer,
if you can sing in tune, it doesn't
just
matter.
keep going. Just keep going. We sounded so bad. Our family, our friends used to tell us how bad we sound,
and we were just so stubborn. We did it.
But we loved it. Not just stubborn. We loved it so much that it was like, okay, it sounds bad. I'm gonna keep working on that. You know, part of being a musician is being with people you love, telling you, if you're lucky to have people that you love that care about you getting better, telling you, hey, that sounded like crap, and you know they're coming from a good place. They're not trying to, and you know, just keep going, keep perfecting it. We aren't like these guys that, you know, we could just sing high and belt, and it was like it just sounded good from the beginning. It sounded terrible for a long time.
You're in the music world. talent is 10% of the game.
Oh, it's a craft. It's really a craft. Just like woodworking is a craft. It's something you have to hone through your lifetime. And you guys have done such hard work. You could tell. I tell people, like, what you see in the video is like, if there's the iceberg poking over the water, the rest of it's the stuff underneath. All that foundational, the years in the field, the years on the stage, the years taking lessons. That all builds the bottom of it. You only see the top.
What's your goal? And just keep building to that. And the truth is, you can never be amazing at everything. You just have to. Every bit of what makes a band takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and I don't really know if I have anything to add to that.
There's a lot of people deserving to make it far, but it just takes a concentrated effort on the thing that you're about. You know, there's so many talented people. So if you get somewhere further than those people, just don't take it for granted, because there's so many talented people that don't get to do what we all get to do. It's
true. It's 100% true.
So many talent. Just work hard. And I think it's like, find out what you're about. You know, you found out what you wanted to do. You know, it wasn't a blanket term, music. You know, it's like you wanted to conduct. It's really just finding the thing that you're the most passionate about. We love playing rock music. I love a lot of music.
Yeah, we love everything.
We just love singing and writing songs, and you gotta. You know, there's always going to be a better guitar player. There's always going to be a better singer. There's always going to be a better anything. But there's never going to be, but you know what?
And usually they're 9 years old and they live in China.
They're putting a lot of good music on the East. It's amazing. What?
We focus on being the best we can be together. That's our strength.
Yeah. And everyone's got a, you know, I always tell my students, everyone's got a unique perspective, and you've got something to add to that. Once you're trained and you're ready to express, everyone's got something to say.
Yes, and I think it's so important to be trained, because if you love music and you like being that big star, and that's what we're trying to do, it's very hard. So if you want to just be in music no matter what, it's important to be trained so you have options. It's so important, you know.
I agree.
Because you shoot for the stars, but you never know where you're going to end up. You know, our producer was touring.
If you aim this high, higher than you can see on the screen, like you might not get there, but you'll get here.
Look, we're stubborn people. Like, you know, we ended up like doing lessons and weddings just because we're like, man, we didn't get to do this in college, and we're never not going to spend time doing things we don't ever want to do again. So we were giving lessons and doing weddings and private events, and you just gotta be versatile, be open-minded, but being trained is being part of it. You know, we can read and we can play adequately in a couple different styles.
We could read better.
I'm not the good. Look, how do you get a guitar player? You know the joke.
Give him sheet music. I get you.
I played bass on a musical, and I was
he just did it to get himself out of his comfort zone.
I was like, okay,
it's awesome.
I've done this before, so let me sight read for this musical, and you know,
get your reading chops back. You got it's a different animal.
He did Pippin, and he read every night.
Great show.
And read.
It was a really good experience.
Because it's like, it's good to get yourself out. Always keep growing. You know, we're trying to be in a band, but like we just want to keep growing to be better musicians. Because if you learn different stuff, and you could bring it back to the thing that you're all about. You know, we're not.
We still have practice regiments. Like even when I'm hanging out, like I turn on my favorite show in the world is Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's my favorite show in the world, and my classic thing is put that on, get the metronome going, and practice scales and chords and different inversions.
Your technique will never leave you. It'll always be there, right? That backup technique you have it always there in your pocket.
It's always like, and I'm never gonna be the best bass player, but I'm gonna always get better than who I am now, you know? And it just keeps you growing. It keeps you going, you know?
I got to train with some of the best opera conductors and some of the artists in the field, and one of the best teachers I know, who's trains a lot of the stars at the Met, he would say, he goes, no matter how good you are, there's someone in a small church in Iowa who's just going to dust you. He's like, they're coming up. They're always.
It's so true.
I was eating breakfast this morning, and I went on Instagram and I scroll. Because I'm at the peak of my ADD, I'm just like looking on my phone, scrolling. I see this kid. He's from South Africa. He lives in America now, and he does this. He's like doing.
Is it this, what's his name?
I don't know.
I know
but
this kid.
He does this guitar solo,
Speaking of D'Angelico,
I don't. Yeah. He's incredible. And then half the chorus, he does one chorus on doing a guitar solo. The other chorus, he does an incredible keyboard solo. And I'm just like, God damn. And then I go watch his videos. He's also a killing bass player. And then, goddamn, a few years ago, he was on stage with Michael McDonald. God damn. And it's like, I just love it. I love it. It's incredible.
There's always going to be someone that just smokes
you know what? And that kid could go on stage and smoke my butt anytime. I don't care. He's incredible.
I got a question from the audience. Jim from Albany asks, if each of you can sit down with one artist who is no longer living, who would it be and what questions might you ask?
The first guy that came to mind as a bassist, James Jamerson. And what questions would I ask? I wouldn't have any questions. I would just be like, hey man, can I just come along with you and just watch you like play a session and see how you do things? That's it. I wouldn't have. And if he said yes, that'd be great.
That is the greatest lesson. Once you know your basic music theory and you can play, you need to jam with people and you need to watch people. So that's actually a very insightful thing. I think for me, I would love to watch. God,
I'm excited. I don't know actually who I'd say.
I don't know. I would love to see Glenn Campbell back in his wrecking. You got talk about talent. Singing, guitar playing, and then he was also a talk show host.
I might like to be, and as a songwriter, I might like to be in on like as a fly on the wall for like maybe like an Eagles writing session.
Yeah, that's actually great. And I don't know.
I'm
not a very big meet your heroes kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't actually. Neither of us have like a desire to meet our heroes because we don't want to have like I met this guy and they were a dick, so I don't like their music anymore. We don't want to know. Like,
we all know that you have to separate the person from the music and the art.
But I love Randy Rhoads, and he was an incredible guitar player. And I know he wanted to study classical guitar before he died. He wanted to leave Ozzy Osbourne and study classical guitar. I would have loved to be on a fly on the wall for those writing sessions for those first two Ozzy albums. I think the most thing is I would love to be a fly on the wall for those writing sessions and recording sessions.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd have a question so much. Maybe I'd ask like, I guess if I was gonna learn about songwriting, it might be like the Eagles or Tom Petty
because they're just
such good songwriters. And if I was gonna really learn about bass playing, who better than James Jamerson?
It's
or like
I would love to see Zeppelin or Humble Pie or Free or Purple or I would love to see those bands live. I don't even want to meet them.
It's tough to say. It's really tough to say. That's a good question. I'm gonna actually really think about that.
I need to think about that.
Next time I have you guys on and you're back touring again, I want to hear the answer.
You will have
to live with that.
You'll have us on whenever you want.
What are you? Who would you want to ask a question?
Oh my God! I had one of my idols, one of my classical idols, was on this morning. I did a podcast this morning, and he's a famous composer who's taught at multiple universities, and he's written 4 of the most important biographies on the Beethoven, Brahms, Mozart, and Charles Ives. I mean, it's a really big brain guy, and he's like, well, I wouldn't want to ask Beethoven anything. I'd want to watch how he interacted with people around him because that says so much.
Exactly. It's about being a fly on the wall. Once you know your basics of music, and it's not really about like understanding music theory or how to do a technique better, because that's the easy part.
You understand that. We know that's your kitchen, that's your house.
It's about their creative process and how they create, because anyone could play or do anything once it's out there. It's how they create. It's the mind. Like, I can learn any guitar solo from any of my favorite guitar players. I'm technically proficient enough, but I can't think like them, and that's why I'm not as good as them.
Or they're different, like they have that unique point of view that. Yeah,
it's like you can't learn that anywhere. So you have to observe it, see it live, and it's really just being a sponge. That's like the lesson we're always learning as musicians is our listener and like and intellectualizing it.
I live in different worlds, you know, like I love to do classical music, and I'm also a teacher, like you guys both teach as well. And I've grown up with rock and roll, so rock and roll is part of my DNA. I play the drums for fun when no one's around. And,
That's awesome, dude.
I play the bass for fun. Just, you know,
cool,
we like to do that, you know.
When you're vaccinated, we should hang. We live close.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely want to go see you guys live. I think your music is fantastic. And, you know, I always love to hear artists with something to say. When I heard your music on Reverb Nation, I was like, man, these guys are smoking up there. And then I went on YouTube and I listened to some of your live sets. And I just I love the indie scene today. I'm like just digging in. There's so much great talent out there. Who would I ask and what?
Man, I see some bands out there that I'm like, whoa. Like, actually, I don't know if they're indie. Maybe they're signed to labels.
Indie means independent or just new age, whatever, you know?
Yeah, it depends what indie means to you. But, like, I see a lot, for us, the rock scene, I feel really good about where rock music is heading because there's some really great rock bands. Joyous Wolf, Dirty Honey, Greta... Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown.
When you see a band, when you see a band that's kind of like
Mark and Poe,
when you see bands getting successful that are in kind of a similar genre to you, don't get jealous. Be excited because that means there's hope for you to get some success.
I feel no jealousy towards these bands. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy to see them killing it because it makes me feel like okay, there's a fan base for us.
That's what's so great about music.
And also they're good. I just love good music. Yeah.
People always want new music. Music isn't like having like a ice cream shop across the street from another ice cream shop. You know, it's like people just want good music, and it's a never-ending appetite. You know, you're never done listening to new music. You know, people want the more the merrier of good music.
I agree, man.
There can't be enough good rock bands out there. So what do you see the next chapter for you guys? And when can we expect a new release? And how can we find out more about the Moon City Masters?
You can go to new release. We have a new single coming out May 7th. We're putting out a cover of a Beatles song called I've Got a Feeling. But you know, we're adamant about putting out new songs every 6 to 8 weeks. So if you stay up with us on mooncitymasters.com, go to our social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you're gonna start seeing sorry about the burp.
You had an alcohol burp.
I had a cider burp. And if you go on our social medias, so like Instagram and Facebook, that's the ones we're most active on. You'll be hearing updates from us doing songs about gigs. It's looking like gigs are going to be coming back in the next month. We'll start announcing shows, hopefully. And
fingers crossed. We want to be there.
Hopefully, man.
Hopefully,
I hope so.
Fingers crossed. But you just stay with us on Instagram. We're putting out new singles all the time. May 7th, we got another single. We haven't even formally announced it yet. Our single for I've Got a Feeling is coming. Our single I've Got a Feeling is coming out. And then, you know, probably in July we'll put out another new song.
We're always trying to get new stuff.
We've been recording music. We have a couple new singles. We have 3 new singles recorded. And we're just putting them out one at a time. So, and we're going to record some more this summer. So we're never short of new music.
Hey, well, you guys are busy. That's a busy schedule. Wow.
We're trying to keep it busy, man. Like we always want to write new songs and get new stuff out there. So
this is a dynamic duo here, and we're going to look for some great music to come. What advice do you have as we leave? What advice do you have for young people who are maybe discovering their love of music?
Love of music, or like you mean musicians or people just listening to music?
Both.
For a musician that's trying to find like what kind of music to play, and for songwriting, be yourself. You are like what you are, what you eat. You are what you listen to. Mm-hmm. You know, we had to learn that the hard way. We used to
try to write to please everybody, and we please nobody.
Write the music you want to hear. You know. Just write the music you want to hear. If you think about the bands you love and think what's not out there, and you know, we genuinely love our music, so just write music that you want to hear.
Yeah, like we like to think of our band as like the band we always wanted to hear. You know, when you're like drinking and hanging out with your friends, like what band would you want to come on next? And for us, you know, the Moon City Masters is that band. So write what you always wanted to hear.
Don't be a people pleaser. No one's for everyone.
Yeah, there's always going to be
doesn't
people
exist.
Yeah, no one's for everybody. Don't try so hard to like. If you're trying so hard to be accessible to everybody, you're gonna please nobody. No one will like your music.
Yeah.
So just play what you like. Be the band or artist.
Even if it's like avant-garde, kind of like dissident music, and that's weird. Just do it. If that's what you love, music is so hard to make a living at. So just be yourself.
Yeah,
because you have a better shot succeeding if you're being yourself. As a listener, as just a young music fan, give everything a shot. You know, just give everything a shot. Be open-minded. There's no such thing as bad music. Just, you know, Pat Metheny said 90% of any type of music is crap. So it's like, you know, there's 10%. If you get into the 10% of any type of music, it's all good. Just find the right thing.
Yeah, like, you know, even for us, like I know we're rocking the rock look, and we love rock music, obviously, but we love jazz. I even love some hip-hop, dude. I even love some electronic music. Like, there's a lot of really great music being made in every genre. So just find that 10% that isn't crap of every genre.
And that is subjective.
That's so subjective. You're right.
Music is the most subjective art form. You know, you asked 10 people what their music is, and it's given 10 different answers.
Yeah, so
that's what makes it great.
Yeah, so be open-minded to everything.
And also for the young kids out there, if there's any young kids listening to this, go get an instrument and start a band.
Yeah, and don't worry too hard if the other people in your band don't really know how to play yet either.
And I have a lot of advice. Have fun. If you have fun. If you're having fun, you'll be good before you ever realize you were bad.
Yep.
It's great advice. I wish you guys continued success as you keep putting out great music, and I can't wait to see you in the theater.
I can't wait to see you on stage, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This was so
my
much
pleasure.
fun.
You guys keep on rocking.
Thank you. You too, man.
Thank you for watching Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Our next show will be this coming Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have Metropolitan Opera star diva Jennifer Rowell. You're not going to want to miss that. She's been, before COVID, she was at theaters all over the world, and she's still getting ready to turn that page to the COVID era to start retaking the stage. We're going to talk about that. Wishing everyone a great night, and remember, keep music alive.